Please hit the follow, share, and subscribe buttons. That really helps Right Field Politics grow.
Jonathan Turley, and I believe that, Jonathan, we have this just in, some photos from inside the courtroom. There's no rolling cameras in the courtroom, but you have this still photo, the first to come out of this historic trial that is starting down in Lower Manhattan. Jonathan, you wrote about Cicero saying the more laws, the less justice, and that you see the same here. How so?
Well, the more cases against Trump, the less justice we receive as a people. You know, the opponents of Trump would have been far better off with just one case, the Mar-a-Lago case. That's based on real law, real precedent. One can disagree with the interpretations, but it's not a reach in the sense of this case. This case is creating something. It's creating a criminal code just for Trump. You know, you have a misdemeanor whose time has expired. The statute of limitations ran out, and it was revived in this rather curious way. He's effectively arguing that Trump was filing false business records through his counsel to hide a federal crime. But it isn't a federal crime. This wasn't a campaign contribution. None of that appears to matter. And that's why a lot of us are looking at this and recoiling. This is not how the law is supposed to be. New Yorkers appear to like it this way. They elected James, who ran on bagging Trump for anything, didn't even mention what. And they now are lionizing this district attorney who's putting together what many of us consider to be an absurd indictment.
So here you are in the New York Post. A serial perjurer will try to prove an old misdemeanor against Trump and an embarrassment for the New York legal system. That perjurer is Michael Cohen. Here he was on MSNBC. Watch.
It's the same thing over and over again. Poor Donald the victim. He's now being, the target of the Biden administration. There's, for all of us, the average people, then there's those in power, and then there's Donald Trump, who seems to be able to skirt the law whenever he wants and however he wants. I don't acknowledge what these folks are saying.
And Politico got in on it. Michael Cohen's admitted liar. He's still going to be the star witness against Trump. Okay. Is this normal?
Well, it was just recently that a federal judge really eviscerated Cohen and said that you are a serial perjurer and you're still gaming the system. That wasn't last year. That was just recently. And he's going to take this stand as the central witness. But what is really bizarre here is he's basically saying, put my former client in jail for following my legal advice. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of jurors be sort of scratching their head about that one. But there's also this disconnect. If you recall, Mark Elias, who was the general counsel of the Clinton campaign, was just fined. The campaign was fined by the FEC for hiding the payments, the support for the Steele dossier as a legal expense. And they were fined for that. No one was criminally charged. In this case, you're taking this misdemeanor, reviving it because it was dead, suggesting a crime that doesn't exist, and then hitting Trump with dozens of counts. Most citizens, at least outside New York, see that for what it is. It's the weaponization of the criminal justice system.
Wanted to ask you about the fact that today starts jury questions, and the Trump jury questions are going to have things like this. Have you ever attended a rally or a campaign event for Donald Trump? Do you currently follow Donald Trump on any social media site, or have you done so in the past? And have you ever attended a rally or campaign event for any anti-Trump group or organization? What do you think of these questions?
Well, the problem is that courts don't feel comfortable asking, who'd you vote for? And so they're working around the edges to try to show bias. The most important thing here is to try to isolate the worst of the jurors. Those are jurors who just desperately want to be on this jury. Many people will want to be, but are prepared to lie to do so. Now, what the defense counsel has is not their veracity on these forms, but their names. That is, even though we won't see them, the defense counsel can look at social media and see if they're lying. What is troubling is that in a couple of past Trump cases, they found out after the conviction or after the trial that jurors had lied about their past political involvements. The judges refused to toss out the verdict. So you have to try to stick that landing up front to show that bias. Also, keep in mind that you only get 10 strikes as a defense counsel, but you can have virtually unlimited strikes for bias. So as you bring forth evidence of bias, it's sort of a freebie where you can try to remove some of these jurors.